A village nun vanished under strange circumstances. Soon, her friend makes a shocking discovery. A young nun, Sister Emily, disappears from a secluded monastery in the mountains of Vermont. At first, everyone thinks that she ran away, unable to stand the strict life. But Sister Anna, Emily's close friend, senses that something is wrong. She begins her own investigation, confronted with the silence of other nuns and strange events in the monastery. Little by little, Anna discovers that the monastery's past has dark secrets associated with the disappearances of other novices. Watch the video until the end to find out the terrible secret of the monastery and the missing nuns. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. He needs your support. The Vermont air, crisp and scented with pine, carried the distant echo of a bell. Angelus, a call to prayer that seemed more a whisper than a summons in this secluded corner of the world. Nestled amidst the green mountains, the Abbey of St. Hildegard stood as a sentinel of stone and silence. Its gray walls, weathered by decades of harsh winters and gentle summers, rose from the rugged landscape like an extension of the very mountains themselves. Inside, the light filtering through the narrow arched windows painted the stone floors in muted hues. The air hung heavy with the scent of beeswax and incense, a fragrance that clung to the very fabric of the place, a testament to centuries of devotion. Here, time moved differently, measured not by the ticking of a clock but by the rhythm of prayer and the changing of the seasons. Sister Anna moved through the dimly lit corridor, her footsteps barely disturbing the silence. She was young, barely 25, with a face that held both a quiet strength and a lingering vulnerability. Her dark eyes, in stark contrast to the stark white of her habit, often held a searching quality as if she were constantly looking for something just beyond her grasp. Today, that searching quality was more pronounced, tinged with a growing unease. She clutched a worn book of hours, her knuckles white. The silence of the abbey, usually a source of comfort, now felt oppressive, laden with an unspoken tension. Her destination was Sister Emily's cell, a small, austere room at the end of the hall. Emily, her closest confidant in this cloistered world, was her opposite in many ways. Where Anna was introspective and reserved, Emily was vibrant, her laughter a rare but cherished sound in the abbey's stillness. Emily possessed a fiery spirit that seemed ill-suited to the quietude of monastic life. Anna reached Emily's door and hesitated, a knot of apprehension tightening in her chest. The door was ajar, an unusual sight. With a deep breath, she pushed it open. The room was empty. A single ray of sunlight fell across the narrow bed, illuminating the neatly folded gray blanket and the small wooden crucifix on the wall. Emily's few possessions, a worn copy of The Little Flowers of St. Francis, a hand-carved wooden bird, lay undisturbed. There was no sign of a struggle, no indication of where she might have gone. "Emily!" Anna's voice was barely a whisper, swallowed by the silence of the room. She stepped inside, her gaze sweeping across the Spartan space, searching for any clue, any sign. A chill snaked its way down her spine, an unsettling feeling like a cold draft in a sealed room. Emily wouldn't just leave, not without a word, not to her. Their bond had been forged in shared dreams and whispered secrets under the watchful eyes of the older nuns. They had found solace in each other's company, two young women navigating the strictures and solitude of their chosen path. Emily had often spoken of her longing for the world outside, her dreams of painting and traveling, but she had always returned to the abbey, drawn back by an invisible thread. Anna's eyes fell upon a small piece of paper lying on Emily's desk. Her heart quickened as she recognized Emily's delicate script. It was a hastily written note. "I need to. I have to go. Forgive me." The words offered no explanation, no hint of her destination, just a stark, unsettling farewell. Confusion warred with a growing sense of dread. This wasn't Emily. This clipped, impersonal message felt alien to the warmth and openness she knew so well. Anna rushed back into the corridor, her sandals echoing on the stone floor. She found Mother Superior Agnes in the scriptorium, her thin frame bent over a large, ancient tome. The older woman's face was a mask of serene detachment. Her eyes, pale and piercing, seemed to see right through Anna. "Mother Superior, it's Emily. She's gone," Anna blurted out, her voice trembling slightly. Mother Agnes raised her head slowly, her expression unchanged. "Sister Emily has chosen to leave the order. It is her decision." Her voice was calm, devoid of emotion, as if she were discussing the weather. "But the note, it doesn't make sense. She wouldn't just leave like that," Anna protested, her desperation rising. "We cannot know the ways of the Lord's calling, Sister Anna. Sometimes a different path is chosen." Mother Agnes's words were like stones, cold and unyielding. But Anna saw a flicker in her eyes, a brief shadow that contradicted the serenity of her voice. It was a fleeting glimpse, but it was enough to ignite a spark of suspicion in Anna's heart. Something was wrong, terribly wrong, and in the silence of the Abbey, the truth, like a dark seed, had begun to take root. The morning after Emily's disappearance dawned with an unsettling normalcy. The Abbey of St. Hildegard awoke to its usual rhythm of prayer, chores, and silence, as if nothing had disrupted the tranquil flow of their lives. But for Anna, the quiet was a cacophony of unanswered questions, each tick of the grandfather clock in the hallway a hammer blow against her growing unease. After the early morning service, Anna sought out Sister Beatrice, an older nun known for her gentle nature and quiet observation. Beatrice tended the Abbey's small herb garden, her hands, gnarled with age, moving with a delicate precision as she pruned and watered the fragrant plants. Anna found her there, the rising sun casting a golden halo around her silver hair. "Sister Beatrice," Anna began, her voice hushed, Did you notice anything unusual before Emily left?" Beatrice paused, her gaze drifting towards the distant mountains. "Unusual, child? This Abbey is a world of its own. What is unusual here is often unseen by those who have not lived within these walls for many years." Her words were cryptic, hinting at a deeper knowledge that made Anna's skin prickle. "I mean, was Emily herself behaving differently? Did she seem troubled?" Anna pressed, her anxiety bubbling to the surface. Beatrice sighed, her gaze returning to the herbs. Emily was spirited. A bird in a cage, perhaps. But troubled? No more than any young woman yearning for a life beyond these stones. She snipped a sprig of lavender, its fragrance sharp and sweet in the morning air. Mother Superior has said what is to be said. Emily has chosen her path. Anna clenched her fists, her nails digging into her palms. "But I know her, sister. She wouldn't just leave without a real explanation." There was a coldness in that note. It wasn't her. Beatrice's eyes softened. "You loved her, child. Grief can color our perceptions. Perhaps you are simply unwilling to accept the truth." But Anna couldn't shake the feeling that the truth being offered was a carefully constructed facade. The Abbey's silence felt less like peace and more like a conspiracy, a wall of unspoken secrets. Later that day, during the midday meal, the tension in the refectory was palpable. The nuns ate in their customary silence, the only sounds the clinking of utensils against earthenware bowls and the soft rustle of habits. But Anna felt eyes on her, curious and wary, as if she were a disruptive element in their carefully ordered world. A wave of loneliness washed over her. Even in this community, she felt utterly alone in her doubts. That night, sleep offered no respite. Anna tossed and turned in her narrow bed, haunted by fragmented memories of Emily. Flashback. The two young novices, Anna and Emily, knelt side by side in the dimly lit chapel, their voices blending in the ancient chants. Emily's voice, though untrained, possessed a raw beauty that filled the space with an unexpected warmth. Anna, usually reserved, found herself drawn to Emily's infectious enthusiasm. "Do you ever wonder what's beyond those mountains?" Emily had whispered during a rare moment of shared solitude in the garden. Her eyes, the color of the summer sky, held a restless yearning. "We're here for a reason, Emily," Anna had replied, her voice firm. "We've chosen a life of devotion." Emily had laughed, a soft, melodic sound. I know, but sometimes I feel like I'm missing something, like there's a whole world out there waiting to be explored." End flashback. The memory was sharp, vivid, a painful reminder of the bond they shared and the unanswered questions that now plagued Anna. Driven by a need to find answers, Anna began her own quiet investigation. She reread Emily's note countless times, searching for hidden meanings in the slant of her handwriting, the weight of her pen strokes. She discreetly questioned other nuns, their responses evasive or dismissive, echoing Mother Superior's unwavering narrative. She even ventured back to Emily's cell, hoping to find a discarded item, a hidden message, anything that might offer a clue. But the room remained stubbornly silent, its emptiness a mocking testament to her growing despair. One evening, while helping in the library, Anna stumbled upon an old, leather-bound book tucked away on a high shelf. Its pages were filled with faded script and unsettling illustrations, depicting strange symbols and rituals. A shiver ran through her as she recognized some of the symbols from her own disturbing dreams. As she carefully turned the brittle pages, a loose piece of paper fluttered to the floor. It was a photograph, its edges yellowed with age. It showed a group of young women, dressed in habits similar to their own, their faces obscured by shadows, their expressions unreadable. But Anna recognized one figure in the center of the photograph. The posture, the tilt of the head, it was unmistakably Emily. But this couldn't be right. The photograph was old, decades old. It made no sense. Anna's heart pounded in her chest. The whispers of doubt had solidified into a chilling certainty. Emily's disappearance was not what it seemed, and the Abbey of St. Hildegard held secrets far darker than she could have ever imagined. The photograph from the library haunted Anna's waking hours and invaded her dreams. The image of Emily, seemingly frozen in time, surrounded by those shadowy figures, fueled her determination to uncover the truth. The Abbey, once a sanctuary, now felt like a labyrinth of secrets, and Anna knew she had to navigate its hidden corners to find her way. One afternoon, during her cleaning duties, Anna found herself in a lesser-used part of the Abbey. Dust motes danced in the shafts of sunlight that pierced through the grimy windows, illuminating cobwebs that clung to the high ceilings like ghostly shrouds. The air was colder here, heavy with the scent of damp stone and decay. She noticed a narrow, arched doorway at the end of a dimly lit corridor. It was partially obscured by a heavy tapestry, its once vibrant colors faded and muted by time. Curiosity, and perhaps a touch of defiance, tugged at her. She had never seen this part of the Abbey before. Hesitantly, Anna approached the doorway. The tapestry felt rough and cold beneath her fingertips. As she pulled it aside, a wave of stale, musty air rushed out, carrying with it an unsettling feeling of abandonment and something else. Something indefinable, yet deeply unsettling. The doorway led to a wing of the Abbey that seemed frozen in time. The architecture was older, more ornate than the rest of the building, with crumbling plaster and intricate carvings that depicted strange, unsettling scenes. Gargoyles with grotesque faces leered from the walls, their stone eyes seeming to follow her every move. A sense of unease settled upon Anna. This place felt wrong. She ventured further into the wing, her footsteps echoing in the oppressive silence. The rooms were empty, but not in the way of a place simply unused. They felt violated, as if they had witnessed something terrible, something that had left an indelible stain on their very essence. In one room, she found a circle drawn on the floor, its lines faded but still visible. Strange symbols, similar to those in the old book, were etched into the stone. A shiver ran down her spine. The air here was thick with a palpable sense of the past, a past that felt dark and forbidden. Another room contained a large stone table, its surface stained with a dark, reddish-brown substance. Restraints, made of rusted iron, were attached to the table's edges. Anna recoiled in horror. What kind of rituals had taken place here? Flashback. Emily and Anna, sneaking out of their cells late at night, their hearts pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement. They had heard whispers among the older nuns, hushed voices speaking of the old ways, of rituals and ceremonies that were no longer practiced. They wanted to know more. "They say this wing is cursed," Emily had whispered, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and fascination. "That something terrible happened here long ago." Anna had scoffed. Stories, just stories to scare us. But even then, she had felt a prickle of unease. End flashback. The memory felt like a warning, a chilling echo from the past. Anna realized that the old ways were more than just stories. They were a part of the Abbey's history, a history that someone was desperate to keep hidden. As she turned to leave, a floorboard creaked behind her. Anna whirled around, her heart pounding in her chest. Standing in the doorway was Sister Magdalene, the oldest nun in the Abbey. Her eyes, usually clouded with age, were sharp and piercing, her gaze fixed on Anna with an intensity that made Anna's blood run cold. "You should not be here, child." Sister Magdalene's voice was raspy, like the rustling of dry leaves. "This wing is forbidden." I was just exploring," Anna stammered, her voice trembling. Sister Magdalene took a step closer, her hand reaching out to grasp Anna's arm. Her touch was surprisingly strong, her fingers like ice. "Some doors are best left unopened," she whispered, her voice laced with a chilling warning. "For your own sake." Anna pulled away, her mind reeling, the forbidden wing, the strange symbols, the restraints, Sister Magdalene's cryptic warning. Everything pointed to a dark secret hidden within the Abbey's walls. And Anna knew, with a certainty that chilled her to the bone, that Emily's disappearance was somehow connected to this sinister history. Sister Magdalene's chilling warning lingered in Anna's mind, amplifying her determination to uncover the Abbey's secrets. She knew she had to be careful, though. The older nuns, with their watchful eyes and hushed conversations, seemed to possess an almost uncanny ability to sense her growing suspicion. Driven by an urgent need for answers, Anna decided to delve deeper into the library's collection. She spent hours among the dusty shelves, searching for anything that might shed light on the Abbey's past. She focused on forgotten corners, hidden alcoves, and books that seemed deliberately overlooked. One afternoon, tucked away behind a row of theological texts, she found a small, leather-bound journal. Its pages were brittle and yellowed, the ink faded but still legible. The handwriting was delicate and elegant, and the name inscribed on the inside cover sent a jolt of recognition through her. Sister Magdalene. Anna's heart pounded as she carefully opened the journal. The first few entries were mundane, detailing the daily routines of a young novice. But as she turned the pages, a darker narrative began to emerge. Sister Magdalene wrote of strange occurrences within the Abbey, unexplained noises in the night, shadows moving in the corners of her eyes, a pervasive sense of unease that clung to the very stones of the building. She described the forbidden wing in detail, corroborating Anna's own observations, and mentioned other young women who had disappeared over the years their disappearances dismissed as God's mysterious will. Sister Alara, one entry read, vanished without a trace, just like Sister Isolde before her. Mother Superior says they have been called to a higher purpose, but I fear there is something more sinister at play. The old ways are not forgotten here. They are whispered about in the shadows, practiced in secret. Anna's breath caught in her throat. Other disappearances? The same dismissive explanation? A pattern was emerging, a pattern of darkness and deceit. The journal also hinted at the strange rituals that took place in the Forbidden Wing. Sister Magdalene described ceremonies performed under the light of the full moon, chants in an unknown language, and the use of strange symbols and artifacts. She wrote of a growing fear, a sense of being trapped in a web of secrets and lies. Then a name appeared in the journal, a name that made Anna's blood run cold. Silas. Silas, the gardener, Sister Magdalene wrote, is a strange man. He has been here for as long as I can remember, tending to the grounds with a quiet intensity. He seems to know things, to see things that others do not. He is always watching, his eyes like dark pools, reflecting the shadows within these walls. I fear he is involved in the darkness that grips this abbey. Flashback. Anna remembered seeing Silas in the garden that morning, his gnarled hands pruning the rose bushes with a strange, almost violent energy. He had stopped to stare at her, his eyes, deep-set and shadowed, lingering on her for a moment too long. She had felt a shiver of unease, a sense of being scrutinized by something ancient and unknowable. End flashback. Anna closed the journal, her hands trembling. The pieces of the puzzle were beginning to fall into place, revealing a horrifying picture. Emily's disappearance was not an isolated incident. It was part of a long and sinister history, a history that someone within the abbey was desperate to conceal. And Silas, the quiet, watchful gardener, was now a prime suspect in her mind. His presence, his silence, his unsettling gaze, they all pointed to a darker involvement in the abbey's secrets. Anna knew she had to be careful. She was walking a dangerous path, and the truth she sought might be more terrifying than she could ever imagine. The oppressive atmosphere within the abbey seemed to mirror the brewing storm outside. Dark clouds gathered over the green mountains, obscuring the setting sun and casting long, ominous shadows across the landscape. The wind howled through the valleys, its mournful cry echoing the growing unease within the abbey's stone walls. Anna, her mind still reeling from the revelations in Sister Magdalene's journal, felt a sense of isolation more profound than ever before. The other nuns, sensing her growing distance, treated her with a mixture of suspicion and fear. Even Sister Beatrice, her former confidant, seemed to withdraw, her gentle eyes now filled with a wary caution. As night fell, the storm unleashed its fury. Rain lashed against the abbey's windows, driven by gusts of wind that rattled the ancient structure to its very foundations. The power flickered and died, plunging the abbey into darkness, broken only by the occasional flash of lightning that illuminated the gargoyles' grotesque faces and the swirling shadows within the corridors. The storm seemed to amplify the abbey's hidden darkness, unleashing a torrent of strange occurrences. Small objects began to disappear: a silver crucifix from Anna's cell, a book of hours from the library, a small wooden carving that Emily had cherished. The nuns whispered among themselves, their voices hushed and fearful, attributing the disappearances to mischievous spirits or divine retribution. But Anna suspected something more sinister. Strange sounds echoed through the abbey's halls, the scraping of stone on stone, the soft rustling of fabric, the muffled whispers that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. Shadows danced in the periphery of vision, fleeting and indistinct, but undeniably present. One night Anna awoke to a chilling sensation, the feeling of being watched. She sat up in her bed, her heart pounding in her chest, and scanned the darkness. A tall, shadowy figure stood at the foot of her bed, its features obscured by the gloom. Before she could cry out, it vanished, leaving behind only a lingering sense of dread. The storm trapped them within the abbey's walls, cutting them off from the outside world. The dirt road leading to the monastery became impassable due to fallen trees and flooding. The phone lines were down, severing their connection to civilization. The isolation, combined with the strange events, created an atmosphere of intense paranoia and fear. The nuns, already on edge, became increasingly suspicious of one another. Accusations flew, whispered and venomous, shattering the fragile veneer of piety and community. Anna, armed with the knowledge from Sister Magdalene's journal, felt herself drawn deeper into the mystery. She knew that the storm was more than just a natural phenomenon. It was a catalyst, a force that was stripping away the abbey's facade and revealing the darkness that lay beneath. Flashback. Emily, during a previous storm, had confided in Anna her fear of the abbey's isolation. "It's like we're trapped here," she had said, her voice trembling. "Cut off from the world, at the mercy of whatever lurks within these walls." End flashback. Emily's words echoed in Anna's mind, a chilling premonition of the terror that was now unfolding. The abbey, once a sanctuary, had become a prison, and the storm had unleashed the darkness that had been waiting to break free. The storm raged on, mirroring the turmoil in Anna's heart. The abbey felt like a ship lost at sea, tossed about by forces beyond their control. Sleep offered little respite, her dreams filled with shadowy figures and cryptic symbols. The need to uncover the truth about Emily and the abbey's dark past became an obsession, a burning fire that consumed her every thought. Driven by this relentless urge, Anna decided to explore the abbey's crypt. It was a place rarely visited, a cold, somber chamber beneath the main chapel where the remains of deceased nuns were interred. The air there was thick with the scent of damp earth and decay, a chilling reminder of mortality. The entrance to the crypt was a heavy stone door at the end of a dimly lit hallway. It was usually locked, but the storm's chaos had disrupted the abbey's routines, and the door stood slightly ajar. Anna hesitated for a moment, a sense of foreboding washing over her, but the need to know pushed her forward. She pushed the door open and descended the stone steps, her hand trailing along the cold, damp wall. The darkness deepened with each step, the only light coming from a flickering lantern she carried. The silence was absolute, broken only by the occasional drip of water and the distant rumble of thunder. The crypt was a somber place, lined with stone niches containing the remains of generations of nuns. Their names were etched into the stone, their lives reduced to a few words and dates. Anna felt a profound sense of sadness, a reminder of the fleeting nature of life and the secrets that time could bury. As she moved deeper into the crypt, she noticed an irregularity in the wall. A section of stone seemed slightly out of place, its edges too sharp, its surface too smooth. Curiosity overriding her fear, Anna examined it closely. She found a small crack, barely visible in the dim light. With trembling hands, she pushed against the stone. It moved slightly. With a surge of adrenaline, she pushed harder, and a section of the wall slid open, revealing a hidden chamber. The air in the chamber was stale and stagnant, as if it had been sealed for decades. Dust motes danced in the beam of her lantern, illuminating a scene that made Anna's blood run cold. The chamber was a makeshift archive, filled with old wooden chests, rotting shelves, and stacks of yellowed documents. But it was the photographs that captured her attention. They were similar to the one she had found in the library, depicting groups of young women in habits, their faces obscured by shadows. But these photographs were more disturbing. They showed the women participating in strange rituals, their expressions blank, their bodies contorted in unnatural poses. Anna recognized some of the women. They were faces from the abbey's past, nuns whose names were etched in the crypt walls, their stories shrouded in mystery. She also found documents, letters, diaries, and official records that painted a horrifying picture of the Abbey's history. They spoke of a secret society within the Abbey, a group of nuns who practiced ancient and forbidden rituals, seeking power and immortality through dark means. The documents revealed a pattern of disappearances, not just of young novices but also of older nuns who had questioned the society's practices. Their fates were always explained away as divine intervention, or a calling to a higher purpose, but the truth was far more sinister. Anna stumbled upon a folder labeled The Emily Case. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside, she found a photograph of Emily, her eyes filled with fear, her mouth gagged. A wave of nausea washed over Anna. The truth was worse than she could have ever imagined. Flashback. Anna and Emily, exploring the Abbey's grounds, had stumbled upon a hidden entrance to the crypt. Emily had felt a sense of unease. "This place feels wrong," she had whispered, "like it's hiding something." End flashback. Emily's words echoed in Anna's mind, a chilling reminder of the evil that had been lurking beneath their feet all along. The Abbey's crypt was not just a burial place, it was a repository of secrets, a testament to the darkness that had taken root within its walls. And Anna knew that she had stumbled upon a truth that would change her life forever. Anna, armed with the horrifying knowledge from the crypt, felt a growing sense of urgency. She knew she couldn't keep the truth to herself any longer. She had to find someone she could trust, someone who would believe her and help her expose the darkness that had consumed the Abbey. But trust was a dangerous commodity within the Abbey's walls. The storm had heightened the atmosphere of suspicion, and Anna knew that anyone could be a member of the secret society, their piety a carefully constructed mask. She decided to approach Sister Beatrice. Despite her recent withdrawal, Beatrice had always shown a kindness and wisdom that Anna had come to rely on. She found Beatrice in the herb garden, her face etched with worry, her hands trembling as she tended to the wilting plants. "Sister Beatrice," Anna began, her voice low and urgent, "I need to talk to you. I've discovered something terrible." Beatrice looked up, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and resignation. "Child, I fear I already know what you are about to say. The Abbey holds secrets, dark secrets, and it is best to leave them undisturbed." "But I can't," Anna insisted, her voice rising. "Emily, the others, they deserve justice. I found a secret chamber in the crypt, filled with photographs and documents. They reveal a secret society, a dark order within the Abbey. They're responsible for the disappearances." Beatrice's face paled. "You have seen the old ways, the rituals?" Anna nodded, her voice choked with emotion. "They're still practicing them. I saw Emily's photograph. She was terrified." Beatrice sighed, her shoulders slumping. "You are braver than I ever was, child. I have long suspected the truth, but I was too afraid to confront it. The Order, they are powerful. They control everything within these walls." Anna pressed her hand. "But who are they? Who is in charge?" Beatrice hesitated, her gaze darting around the garden as if she feared they were being watched. "Mother Superior Agnes. She is their leader. She has been for many years. And Sister Magdalene, she was one of them once." Anna recoiled in shock. Sister Magdalene? The old nun who had warned her to stay away from the forbidden wing? "But why?" Anna asked, her voice trembling. "What do they want?" Beatrice's voice dropped to a whisper. "They seek power, child. Immortality. They believe the old ways can grant them eternal life, a life beyond this mortal coil. They are willing to sacrifice anything, anyone, to achieve their goals." Anna's mind raced, trying to comprehend the horror of what she was hearing. The Abbey, a place of supposed devotion, was a breeding ground for darkness and evil. "And Silas?" Anna asked. "Is he involved?" Beatrice nodded slowly. "He is their servant, their protector. He has been with them for many years, his loyalty unwavering. He knows the Abbey's secrets, its hidden passages, its dark history. He is a dangerous man, child. Stay away from him." A wave of betrayal washed over Anna. The women she had trusted, the women she had looked up to, were part of a sinister conspiracy. The Abbey's silence was not peace, it was the sound of secrets festering in the dark. Flashback. Anna and Emily, during their early days in the Abbey, had confided in each other their hopes and fears. "I always thought Mother Superior was so wise, so devout," Emily had said, her voice filled with doubt. "But sometimes I see something in her eyes, a coldness that scares me." End flashback. Emily's unease, her unspoken fears, now made sense. She had sensed the darkness that Anna was only now beginning to uncover, and it had cost her dearly. Anna felt a surge of anger, a burning desire for justice. She would not let Emily's death be in vain. She would expose the secret order and bring them to justice, no matter the cost. But she knew she had to be careful. She was alone, surrounded by enemies, and the storm outside was only a reflection of the darkness within the Abbey's walls. The revelation of the secret order and their dark practices ignited a desperate need in Anna to find concrete proof, to expose their evil and bring them to justice. She knew she had to act quickly before they realized she was a threat. Driven by this urgency, Anna decided to spy on the Forbidden Wing. She knew that the rituals were likely conducted under the cover of darkness when the rest of the Abbey was asleep. That night, after the last prayers had been said and the Abbey had fallen silent, Anna slipped out of her cell. The storm had finally subsided, leaving behind an eerie stillness, broken only by the occasional creak of the old building. She made her way to the Forbidden Wing, her heart pounding in her chest, her senses heightened. The air was thick with a sense of anticipation, a feeling that something significant was about to happen. The door to the wing was slightly ajar, a sliver of darkness beckoning her in. Anna hesitated for a moment, her fear battling with her resolve, but the image of Emily's terrified face in the photograph propelled her forward. She slipped inside, moving silently through the shadows. The air was cold and heavy, laden with the scent of incense and something else, something metallic and unsettling. She followed the sound of chanting, a low, guttural murmur that seemed to vibrate from the very stones of the Abbey. It led her to the room with the stone table and the restraints. The scene that unfolded before her eyes was like a nightmare come to life. Mother Superior Agnes stood at the head of the table, her face illuminated by the flickering light of candles. Her eyes glowed with an unnatural intensity, her expression a mask of cold determination. Around her stood the members of the secret order, their faces hidden by dark hoods. Anna recognized Sister Magdalene among them, her face pale and drawn, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and fanaticism. Silas, the gardener, stood silently in the corner, his presence radiating an aura of menace. On the stone table lay a young woman, her body bound by the iron restraints. Her face was pale and lifeless. It was Emily. Anna gasped, her hand flying to her mouth to stifle a cry. The truth hit her with the force of a physical blow. Emily was dead. She had been sacrificed, a victim of the Order's twisted pursuit of power. The chanting intensified, the words ancient and foreign, their meaning lost to time, but their intent undeniably evil. Mother Superior raised a silver dagger, its blade glinting in the candlelight. Anna couldn't bear to watch. She wanted to scream, to rush forward and stop them, but she knew she was powerless against them. She was trapped, a silent witness to their horrifying ritual. As the ceremony reached its climax, a surge of energy filled the room. The air crackled with an unseen force, and the shadows seemed to deepen, to take on a life of their own. Anna felt a wave of nausea, a sense of being surrounded by pure evil. She wanted to escape, to flee from this place of darkness and death, but she was frozen in place, paralyzed by fear and horror. Flashback. Emily, during a moment of rare vulnerability, had confessed to Anna her fear of death. "I don't want to die," she had whispered, her eyes filled with tears. "I want to live, to see the world, to experience all that life has to offer." End flashback. Emily's dreams, her hopes, her life had been cruelly extinguished by the Order's twisted ambitions. Anna's grief turned into a burning rage, a fierce determination to avenge her friend's death and bring her killers to justice. She knew that she was in grave danger, but she was no longer afraid. She had seen the true face of evil, and she would not rest until it was destroyed. The horror of the ritual fueled Anna's determination to escape. She knew she couldn't stay in the Abbey any longer. Her life was in danger, and she had to expose the truth before she became another victim of the Order's evil. She waited until the chanting died down and the members of the Order dispersed, their faces grim and satisfied. Then she slipped out of her hiding place, moving silently through the shadows like a ghost. She knew the Abbey's layout well, its hidden passages and secret exits. She made her way to a small, disused door at the back of the building, a door that led to the dense forest surrounding the Abbey. The night was dark, and the forest was a labyrinth of trees and shadows. But Anna was driven by a desperate need for survival, a primal instinct to escape the clutches of evil. She burst through the door and into the forest, her sandals crunching on the fallen leaves. The cold air stung her lungs, but she didn't stop to rest. She ran as fast as she could, her heart pounding in her chest, the image of Emily's lifeless body fueling her every step. Behind her, she heard the sound of pursuit, the rustling of leaves, the snapping of twigs, the guttural cries of the Order members. They were hunting her, their dark figures emerging from the Abbey like shadows come to life. Silas, with his knowledge of the forest and his relentless determination, was at the forefront of the chase. His eyes, glowing with a malevolent intensity, pierced through the darkness, searching for her. The chase was a desperate dance of life and death, a frantic struggle against the forces of darkness. Anna dodged trees, leaped over fallen logs, her breath coming in ragged gasps. The forest, once a place of beauty and tranquility, had become a battleground, a scene of terror and pursuit. Flashback. Anna and Emily, during a rare moment of freedom, had explored the forest surrounding the Abbey. Emily, with her love for nature, had felt a sense of peace and freedom among the trees. "It's like the forest is protecting us," she had said, her eyes filled with wonder. End flashback. But the forest was no longer a sanctuary. It was a hunting ground, and Anna was the prey. The Order members closed in, their voices echoing through the trees. Anna knew she couldn't outrun them forever. She had to find a place to hide, a place where she could catch her breath and plan her next move. She stumbled upon a small cave, hidden behind a thicket of bushes. It was dark and damp, but it offered a temporary refuge. She squeezed inside, her body trembling with exhaustion and fear. She could hear the Order members searching for her, their voices growing louder, their footsteps drawing closer. She held her breath, her heart pounding in her ears, praying that they wouldn't find her. The minutes stretched into an eternity. The forest was silent except for the occasional snap of a twig or the rustle of leaves. Anna knew that the silence was deceptive. The Order members were still out there, waiting, watching, their evil intent as palpable as the darkness that surrounded her. She was alone, hunted and trapped in a deadly game of cat and mouse, but she was not defeated. She had seen the truth, and she would not rest until it was brought to light. Exhausted, terrified, and desperate, Anna stumbled out of the forest as dawn broke. The abbey was behind her, a dark silhouette against the pale morning sky. But she knew the danger was far from over. The order members could still be searching for her, and she had no idea how far their influence extended. She found herself on a deserted country road, the only sign of civilization a weathered signpost pointing towards the small town of Havenwood, several miles away. With renewed determination, she started walking, her legs aching, her body trembling with fatigue. Hours later, she reached Havenwood, a sleepy town nestled in the heart of Vermont. The quaint houses and friendly faces seemed like a world away from the horrors of the abbey, but Anna knew she couldn't afford to let her guard down. She made her way to the town's small sheriff's office, a modest building with a sign that read, Sheriff Dale Harding. Inside, she found a middle-aged man with a weathered face and a skeptical gaze. He was nursing a cup of coffee, his boots propped up on his desk. "Can I help you, ma'am?" he asked, his voice gruff but not unkind. Anna hesitated, unsure how to begin. She was a nun, covered in dirt and leaves, her habit torn and disheveled. She knew her story would sound unbelievable, but she had nowhere else to turn. "Sheriff," she began, her voice trembling, "I need your help. I've escaped from the Abbey of St. Hildegard. There's something terrible happening there. Women are disappearing, there's a secret society, they're practicing dark rituals." Sheriff Harding lowered his boots and leaned forward, his expression hardening. "Hold on a minute. You're a nun. From the Abbey up on the mountain. I know those women. They're good people, quiet, devout." "They're hiding something," Anna insisted, her voice rising in desperation. "I saw them. I saw what they did to my friend. They killed her." Sheriff Harding sighed, his gaze softening slightly. "Ma'am, I understand you're upset, but you're talking crazy. There's no way those nuns are involved in anything like that. You're probably just confused, maybe had a bad dream." "It's not a dream," Anna pleaded. "It's real. Please, you have to believe me. You have to go to the Abbey and see for yourself. I can show you the secret chamber, the documents, the photographs." Sheriff Harding studied her for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Anna could see the doubt in his eyes, the skepticism that hardened his features. But she also saw a flicker of something else, a sense of duty, a willingness to investigate, no matter how outlandish the claim. "All right," he said finally, pushing himself up from his chair. "I'll go up there. I'll check it out, but if this is some kind of prank—" "It's not a prank," Anna interrupted, her voice firm. "It's the truth, and if you don't believe me, more people will die." Sheriff Harding nodded slowly, his face grim. "All right, let's go." As they drove up the winding road to the Abbey, Anna felt a glimmer of hope. She had found an ally, an outsider who might be able to help her expose the truth. But she also knew that they were entering a dangerous territory, a place where evil had taken root and darkness reigned. Flashback. Emily, during one of their walks in town, had expressed her longing for the outside world. "I wish I could just leave," she had said, her eyes filled with yearning. "To escape the silence, to see what's beyond those walls." End flashback. Anna was finally bringing the outside world to the Abbey, but not in the way Emily had dreamed. She was bringing the law, a force that might be able to break the Order's hold and bring their evil to an end. But she also knew that the battle was far from over, and the darkness within the Abbey would not be easily defeated. Sheriff Harding, despite his initial skepticism, took Anna's accusations seriously. He was a man of the law, and even the most outlandish claims deserved investigation. As they arrived at the Abbey, the imposing structure loomed before them, its silence and isolation now carrying a sinister weight. "Mother Superior," Agnes greeted them at the entrance, her face a mask of serene composure. She exuded an air of piety and innocence, her voice calm and unwavering as she inquired about their visit. "Sheriff," she said, her gaze steady, "we are a secluded community, dedicated to prayer and contemplation. What brings you to our humble abode?" Sheriff Harding, his eyes sharp and observant, maintained a professional demeanor. "We're just conducting a routine check, ma'am. A report came in about some irregularities." He glanced at Anna, his expression conveying a mixture of caution and curiosity. Anna, standing beside the sheriff, felt a surge of nervous energy. She knew that Mother Superior was a master of deception, and she feared that the order would have already concealed any evidence of their crimes. But Sheriff Harding was thorough. He insisted on inspecting the Abbey, his trained eyes scanning every room, every corridor, every hidden corner. He questioned the nuns, their responses guarded and evasive, their gazes filled with a mixture of fear and defiance. He paid particular attention to the forbidden wing, his expression darkening as he took in the unsettling atmosphere and the strange symbols etched on the walls. He found the room with the stone table and the restraints, his jaw tightening as he imagined the horrors that had taken place there. The more he saw, the more his skepticism began to erode. Anna's story, once unbelievable, was starting to take on a chilling credibility. But it was the crypt that provided the most damning evidence. Anna led Sheriff Harding to the secret chamber, her hands trembling as she revealed the photographs and documents. Sheriff Harding's face hardened as he examined the evidence. The photographs, with their disturbing depictions of rituals and sacrifices, left no room for doubt. The documents, with their detailed accounts of disappearances and dark practices, painted a horrifying picture of the Abbey's past. He focused on the records related to the missing nuns, comparing their names and dates with the information in Sister Magdalene's journal. A pattern emerged, a pattern of disappearances that spanned decades, all connected to the secret order and their quest for power and immortality. And then he found something that made his blood run cold. A series of letters written by Mother Superior Agnes herself. The letters, addressed to an unknown recipient, revealed her deep involvement in the order's activities, her unwavering belief in the old ways, and her willingness to sacrifice innocent lives to achieve her goals. The letters also hinted at a connection between Mother Superior and a series of unsolved disappearances in the surrounding area, stretching back many years. It became clear that the Order's evil was not confined to the Abbey's walls. It had spread its tentacles into the community, leaving a trail of darkness and despair. Flashback. Sheriff Harding, a young deputy at the time, had investigated one of the disappearances mentioned in the letters. He had found no leads, no evidence, only a sense of unease and a feeling that something sinister was being hidden. And flashback. The truth was finally out in the open, exposed for all to see. The Abbey of St. Hildegard, once a symbol of piety and devotion, was revealed to be a breeding ground for evil, its silence and isolation masking a horrifying reality. Sheriff Harding, his face grim, knew what he had to do. He had to bring the members of the secret order to justice, to put an end to their reign of terror and avenge the lives they had destroyed. But he also knew that he was facing a formidable enemy, an enemy that had been operating in the shadows for centuries, their power and influence reaching far beyond the Abbey's walls. Sheriff Harding, his face grim and resolute, led the way back to the Abbey, Anna by his side. The evidence from the crypt was undeniable, a damning indictment of the secret order and their horrifying crimes. The initial shock and disbelief had given way to a steely determination to bring the perpetrators to justice. As they approached the Abbey's imposing gates, a sense of foreboding settled upon them. The silence that had once seemed peaceful now felt menacing, pregnant with the threat of violence. The order members were waiting for them, their dark figures gathered in the courtyard, their faces hidden by shadows. Mother Superior Agnes stood at the forefront, her composure unwavering, her eyes burning with a chilling intensity. She knew that her secrets had been exposed, her power threatened, and she was prepared to fight to protect her dark legacy. "Sheriff," she said, her voice laced with a dangerous calm, "you have trespassed upon sacred ground. You have disturbed the peace of this holy place. You will pay for your intrusion." Sheriff Harding, his hand resting on his service weapon, stood his ground. The only ones who will pay are those who have committed these heinous crimes. You and your order, Mother Superior. You are under arrest. A tense standoff ensued, the air thick with anticipation. The order members, their faces contorted with rage and fanaticism, surged forward, their chanting rising in a cacophony of evil. A violent clash erupted, a desperate struggle between the forces of law and the darkness that had consumed the Abbey. Sheriff Harding, though outnumbered, fought with courage and determination, his gunshots echoing through the courtyard. Anna, fueled by her grief and her desire for vengeance, fought alongside him, her fear replaced by a fierce resolve. She knew she had to expose the truth, to bring down the order, even if it meant risking her own life. In the chaos of the battle, Anna found herself face to face with Mother Superior. The older woman's eyes burned with an unholy light, her expression twisted with a terrifying mix of rage and desperation. "You should have stayed away, child," Mother Superior hissed, her voice laced with venom. "You should have let the old ways remain undisturbed. Now you will face the consequences." "Your old ways are evil," Anna retorted, her voice trembling but firm. "They're based on lies and sacrifice. You've stolen lives, you've destroyed innocence, all for your own selfish desires." Mother Superior laughed, a chilling, mocking sound. "Desires? You speak of things you cannot comprehend, child. Power, immortality. These are not mere desires. They are the birthright of those who are chosen, those who are willing to embrace the darkness." She revealed her true motives, her twisted ambition to achieve eternal life and wield unimaginable power, her willingness to sacrifice anything and anyone to attain her goals. Her words were a chilling testament to the depths of her depravity, the darkness that had consumed her soul. The confrontation escalated, a battle of wills and a fight for survival. The fate of the Abbey and the lives of those caught in its web of evil hung in the balance. The confrontation in the Abbey courtyard was a chaotic and brutal clash, a battle between the forces of good and evil that had been brewing for centuries. Sheriff Harding, though outnumbered, fought valiantly, his years of experience and his unwavering commitment to justice giving him strength. Anna, fueled by righteous anger and a desire to avenge Emily's death, fought alongside him, her fear replaced by a fierce determination. Slowly but surely, the tide began to turn. The order members, their fanaticism no match for the sheriff's authority and Anna's unwavering resolve, were subdued and apprehended. Mother Superior Agnes, her power waning, her dreams of immortality shattered, was taken into custody, her reign of terror finally brought to an end. The other nuns, those who had been manipulated and controlled by the order, were freed from their influence. Many were shocked and horrified by the revelations, their faith shaken to its core. They had lived for years under the shadow of evil, their lives twisted and distorted by the order's dark practices. The Abbey, once a place of darkness and death, began to heal. The evil that had festered within its walls was purged, its silence replaced by the sounds of grief, confusion, and a fragile hope for the future. But the victory was bittersweet. Emily was gone, her life cruelly taken by the order's twisted ambitions. A funeral was held for her, a somber ceremony in the Abbey's chapel, attended by the surviving nuns, Sheriff Harding, and Anna. The air was heavy with grief as Anna stood by Emily's grave, a simple mound of earth in the Abbey's cemetery. The other nuns wept softly, their faces etched with sorrow and regret. Anna placed a single white rose on the grave, her heart aching with a profound sense of loss. She had come to the Abbey seeking answers, and she had found them, but at a terrible cost. Flashback. Anna and Emily, during a moment of quiet reflection, had talked about their dreams for the future. "I want to make a difference," Emily had said, her eyes filled with passion. "I want to help people, to bring light into the world." End flashback. Emily's dream had been stolen from her, her light extinguished by the Order's darkness. But Anna vowed to keep her memory alive, to carry on her fight for justice, and to ensure that the evil that had consumed the Abbey would never rise again. The road to recovery would be long and arduous, but the first step had been taken. Justice had been served, the darkness had been exposed, and a fragile hope for a brighter future had begun to dawn. The aftermath of the confrontation left the Abbey in a state of profound upheaval. The surviving nuns, their lives shattered and their faith shaken, struggled to come to terms with the horrors they had witnessed and the darkness they had unwittingly embraced. Anna, despite her own trauma and grief, emerged as a beacon of strength and compassion. She became a source of comfort and guidance for the other nuns, helping them navigate the complex emotions of betrayal, confusion, and loss. Many of the nuns felt a deep crisis of faith. The Order's evil had tainted their beliefs, casting a shadow of doubt over everything they had held sacred. They questioned their devotion, their purpose, and their place in the world. Anna, who had also grappled with her own doubts, shared her journey of finding strength in the face of adversity. She reminded them that faith was not about blind obedience or unquestioning acceptance, but about seeking truth, embracing compassion, and finding strength within oneself. She encouraged them to talk about their experiences, to share their fears and their pain, to find solace in each other's company. She organized prayer circles and support groups, creating a safe space for them to heal and rebuild their shattered lives. Some of the nuns struggled with feelings of guilt and shame. They had been complicit, however unknowingly, in the Order's crimes. They felt responsible for the deaths of their sisters, for the darkness that had consumed the Abbey. Anna helped them understand that they were victims, not perpetrators. She reminded them that they had been manipulated and deceived, that their actions were driven by fear and ignorance, not malice. She encouraged them to forgive themselves, to release the burden of guilt and embrace the possibility of redemption. The process of healing was slow and arduous. The Abbey, once a place of silence and isolation, became a place of noise and chaos, filled with the sounds of weeping, arguing, and questioning. But amidst the turmoil, a sense of hope began to emerge. The nuns, guided by Anna's compassion and strength, slowly began to rebuild their lives. They rediscovered their faith not as a source of blind obedience, but as a source of strength, compassion, and hope. They embraced the possibility of a new beginning, a future free from the shadows of the past. Anna, in turn, found her own healing in helping others. The Abbey, once a place of darkness and death, became a place of healing and renewal. And Anna, the outsider who had come seeking answers, became its savior, its guiding light in the long and arduous journey towards healing and redemption. The Abbey of St. Hildegard, once a symbol of both holiness and hidden evil, was closed. Its dark history, once shrouded in secrecy, was now exposed for all to see, a stark warning against the dangers of unchecked power and the seductive allure of darkness. The surviving nuns, forever scarred by their experiences, were relocated to other convents, their lives forever changed by the events that had transpired. The Abbey's gates were locked, its stone walls standing silent and empty, a monument to both tragedy and resilience. Anna, her mission fulfilled, her heart heavy but resolute, prepared to leave. The Abbey had brought her both immense pain and profound growth. She had witnessed the depths of human depravity and the heights of human compassion. She had lost a dear friend but found strength within herself she never knew she possessed. Before she departed, she visited Emily's grave one last time. The simple mound of earth was now adorned with wildflowers, a testament to the fragile beauty that could still bloom even in the face of death. She knelt beside the grave, her hand gently tracing the inscription on the simple wooden cross. Emily, a light extinguished, a memory eternal. "I'm leaving now, Emily," she whispered, her voice filled with a mixture of sadness and determination. "I'm going to start a new life, a life where I can honor your memory and make a difference in the world. I won't let your death be in vain." She rose to her feet, her gaze lingering on the Abbey's imposing silhouette. The building stood silent and empty, a reminder of the darkness that had been vanquished, but also a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. As she walked away, down the winding road that led away from the Abbey and towards the unknown, she carried Emily's memory with her. It was a bittersweet burden, a reminder of the pain she had endured, but also a source of strength and inspiration. Flashback. Anna and Emily, during their first days at the Abbey, had dreamed of their futures. "I want to leave a legacy," Emily had said, her eyes filled with hope. "I want to be remembered for something good." End flashback. Anna knew that Emily's legacy would live on, not in stone monuments or grand pronouncements, but in the lives she had touched and the darkness she had helped to defeat. And Anna, in her own way, would carry that legacy forward, striving to bring light into the world, just as her friend had always dreamed. The Abbey of St. Hildegard would stand as a warning, a place of shadows and secrets, but also a testament to the power of courage, compassion, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. And Anna, the outsider who had dared to uncover its truth, would walk away, forever changed, forever bound to its legacy.